subscribe our channel. If you like our video, please share it with your friends. You can also click the bell icon to get the notifications.
What part of the day does a sunrise happen in?
Most assignments need to be submitted on the same day.
Dawn.
To get further extension,
What do we
you
call
need
the
to
money
call
an
the
employer
education
pay an
executive
employee
on
because of the damage
401.
caused in work? What do we call the money an employer pay an employee because of the damage caused in work? Compensation.
To get further extension, you need to call the
Who flies
education
an
executive
airplane?
on 401.
Who flies an airplane? Pilot.
In this library, reserve collection books can
What
be
is the
borrowed for up
dictionary
to
of
3
synonyms
hours.
and antonyms? What is the dictionary of synonyms and antonyms? Thesaurus.
In this
A business
library,
doesn't want to
reserve
make a
collection
loss.
books
What does
can
it
be
want to
borrowed
make?
for up to 3 hours.
A business doesn't want to make a loss. What does it want to make? Profit.
A computer virus destroyed all my files.
What is the ceremony where two people get married? What is the ceremony where two people get
A
married?
computer virus destroyed
Wedding.
all my files.
If you are celebrating a
A lot of
bicentennial
agricultural
event, how
workers
many
came
years
to
ago
the
did
East
this
End
event
to look
happen?
for alternative work.
If you are celebrating a bicentennial event, how many years ago did this event happen? 200.
A lot of
another
agricultural
way to
workers
say
came
the
to the
arrangement
East
of
End to
musical
look for
notes in a
alternative
tune?
work.
What is another way to say the arrangement of musical notes in a tune?
All the
Melody.
assignments should be submitted by the end of this week.
When you bake a cake, where do you put the tray into? When you bake a cake, where do you put the tray into? Oven.
All the assignments should be submitted by the end of this week.
What part of a room is over your head?
Anyone who
What
has a
part of
problem
a
with their
room is over
accommodation
your
should
head?
speak to the welfare
Ceiling.
officer.
What is the antonym of maximum? What is the antonym of maximum?
Anyone who has a
Minimum.
problem with their accommodation should speak to the welfare officer.
What
The
is the
current
name of
labor
the
force
programs
is
that
more
run on a
competitive than it
computer?
had been for a long time.
What is the name of the programs that run on a computer? Software.
The
What do
current
you
labor
call the
force is more
southernmost and
competitive than it
northernmost
had been
parts
for a
of the
long
Earth?
time.
What do you call the southernmost and northernmost parts of the Earth? Pole.
Today's lecture is cancelled because the lecturer is ill.
Where do people stand in a train station when they are waiting for a train? Where do people stand in a train station when they are waiting for a train? Platform.
Today's lecture is cancelled because the lecturer is ill.
What is the sound of lightning? What is the sound of lightning? Thunder.
Please make an appointment with your tutor about work.
What do you call a length of time that lasts for 7 days? What do you call a length of time that lasts for 7 days?
Please make an appointment with your tutor about work.
What will water become at
Remember,
zero
your essay
temperatures
should
or
be
under
less than
0
2,000
temperatures?
words.
What will water become at 0 temperatures or under 0 temperatures? Ice.
Remember, your essay should
How
be
would you
less than
describe an
2,000
animal
words.
that no longer exists on the earth? How would you describe an animal that no longer
I think your
exists on
watch
the
is
earth?
fast. You need to
Extinct.
reset it.
What is the animal with white ivory and long trunk? What is the animal
I
with
think
white
your watch is
ivory
fast.
and long trunk?
You need to reset
Elephant.
it. The university policy
How
on
would you describe an
plagiarism can be
economy
viewed
that is
on the
largely
website.
based on farming? How would you describe an economy that is largely based on farming? Agricultural.
The university policy on
Some
plagiarism
calendars
can be
begin the
viewed
week
on the
Sunday.
website.
What is the other day which commonly starts a week? Some calendars begin the week on Sunday.
The
What is
website
the
has
other
probably
day
the
which
most
commonly
attractive
starts
layout.
a week? Monday? Who is the person who works in a hospital and can do operations?
The website has
Who is
probably
the
the most
person who
attractive
works in a
layout.
hospital and can do operations? Surgeon.
The program depends entirely on private funding.
Which part at the end of a book can be used for further reading? An index or a bibliography? Which part at the end of a book can be used for further reading? An index or a
The
bibliography?
program depends entirely on
Bibliography.
private funding.
In what
If she
room
doesn't
do
speak the
scientists
language,
usually
she
do
will not sit
experiments?
around and wait for a translator.
In what room do scientists usually do experiments? Laboratory. A newspaper is published every day.
If she
and
doesn't
a journal
speak
is
the
published
language,
every
she
month.
will not sit
What do you
around
call
and
the
wait for a
publication that is
translator.
published 4 times a year? A newspaper is published every day, and a journal is published every month. What do you call the
In my free
publication that is
time,
published
I would
4
like to read
times a
current
year?
affairs and
Quarterly.
newspapers.
What rises from the east in the morning and sets to the west in the evening every day?
In my free time, I would like to read current
What
affairs
rises
and
from the
newspapers.
east in the morning and sets to the west in the evening every day? The sun.
The hypothesis on the black hole is rendered
What
moot
is
as the
another name for
explanation for the
religious study?
explosion.
What is another name for religious study? Theology.
The hypothesis on the black
What
hole
do
is
we call
rendered
a
moot
person
as
who
the
repairs
explanation for
cars?
the explosion.
What do we call a person who repairs cars? Auto technician/mechanic.
You can retake the module if your marks are too low.
What is the name for a person who pays rent to a landlord? What is the name for a person who pays rent to a
You
landlord?
can retake the module
Tenant.
if your marks are too low.
What do you call the drawings
It's
or
within the
writing
framework
on a wall,
that we carry out
especially
our
in a
survey.
public place? What do you call the drawings or writing on a wall, especially in a public place? Graffiti.
It's within the framework that we carry out our survey.
What is the opposite of guilty? What is the opposite of guilty? Innocent.
Don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions.
What do we call the animals which eat meat? What do we call the animals which eat meat? Carnivore/predator.
Don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions.
What is a strip of hard ground along which aircraft take off
The
and land?
cafeteria closes soon, but the snack
What
machine
is a
is
strip
accessible
of hard ground
throughout the
along
night.
which aircraft take off and land? Runway. What is BA for, such as history and literature?
The cafeteria closes soon, but the snack machine
What
is
BA
accessible
for,
throughout
such
the
as
night.
history and literature? Bachelor of Arts.
The hypothesis needs to be tested in a more rigorous way.
What's the calendar that follows the movement of the moon? What's the calendar that follows the movement of the moon? Lunar calendar.
The hypothesis needs to be tested in a more
What
rigorous
do we call
way.
a person who lives permanently? What do we call a person who lives permanently? Immortal?
Companies exist to make money, not to change society.
In which compass direction does the sun rise from? In which compass direction does the sun rise from? East.
Companies exist to make money, not to change society.
Word postgraduate. What does post mean? Word postgraduate. What does post mean? After.
To answer such a complex question with a simple yes or no is
What is the
absolutely
name
impossible.
of the government headed by a king or queen? What is the name of the government headed by a king or queen? Monarchy.
To answer such a complex question with a simple yes or no is
What
absolutely
do you call
impossible.
the activity of taking out weeds from the ground? What do you call the activity of taking out
In
weeds from the
1830,
ground?
periodicals
Reading.
appeared in large numbers in America.
What do you call your cousin's father? What do you call your cousin's father? Uncle.
In 1830, periodicals appeared in large numbers in America.
What is the top surface inside a room? What is the top surface inside a room?
Nearly
Ceiling.
half of the television outputs are given away for educational programs.
What do you call the daughter of your sister or brother? What do you call the daughter of your sister or brother? Niece.
Nearly half of the television outputs are given away for educational programs.
What is the term for the political body or organization that runs a country? What is the term
Number
for the
the
political
beakers and
body
put them
or
away before
organization that
tomorrow.
runs a country? Government. What product do you apply to your skin to protect from sunburn?
Number the beakers and put them away before
What product
tomorrow.
do you apply to your skin to protect from sunburn? Sunscreen.
Organic food is grown without applying chemicals and possesses
What
no
kind of
artificial
clothes and shoes
additives.
do you wear to keep comfortable when hiking? What kind of clothes and shoes do you wear to keep comfortable when hiking? Hiking outfit.
Organic food is grown without applying chemicals and possesses no
What gas
artificial
will be formed
additives.
from the boiling water? What gas will be formed from the boiling water? Vapor /
Rules of
steam.
breaks and lunch time vary from one company to another.
How many sides does a hexagon have? How many sides does a hexagon have? 6.
Rules of breaks and lunch time vary from one company to another.
How many sides does a pentagon have? How many sides does a
Student
pentagon
discount cards
have?
can be used on
5.
campus at the coffee house.
What is a violent conflict between two or more countries? What is a violent conflict
Student
between
discount
two
cards
or more
can be
countries?
used on campus at
War.
the coffee house.
What is the joint that connects your hand to your
The
arm?
library is located on the other side of
What
the
is the
campus
joint
behind
that
the
connects your
student
hand
center.
to your arm? Wrist. When you mix black and white, what color would you get? When you mix
The
black
library
and white,
is located
what
on the
color
other
would you
side
get?
of the campus
Gray.
behind the student center.
What is the term to specifically
The
describe
study of
either a
archaeology
brother or a
requires
sister?
extensive international field
What
work.
is the term to specifically describe either a brother or a sister? Sibling. Apples and cherries
The study
come
of
under which
archaeology
category?
requires extensive international field
Apples
work.
and cherries come under which category? Fruits.
The original Olympic Games were celebrated as religious
What do you call the seasonal
festivals.
flying of birds from cold to warmer areas? What do you call the seasonal flying of birds from cold to warmer areas? Migration.
The original Olympic Games were celebrated as religious festivals.
A manufacturing process releases poisonous gases. What is the most important safety measure for workers at this plant?
The part
ensuring
of the
good
story is the
ventilation
story
or
of my
appropriate?
father.
A manufacturing process releases poisonous gases. What is the most important safety measure for workers at this plant? Ensuring good ventilation or appropriate?
The part of
Ensuring
the
good
story is the
ventilation.
story of my father.
What would you call a
The
specialist
pharmacy
who
was
repairs
closed
leaking
when I
water
went
pipes?
past this morning.
What would you call a specialist who repairs leaking water pipes? Plumber. How many years
The pharmacy
are there
was
in the
closed
passage
when
of
I
a
went
decade?
past this morning.
How many years are there in the passage of a decade? 10.
The United Kingdom is a constitutional
How
monarchy
many
and
years
parliamentary
does a centennial
democracy.
celebrate? How many years does a centennial celebrate? 100.
In addition to
The
United Kingdom is a constitutional
O.
monarchy
What
and
is the
parliamentary
other vowel letter?
democracy. In addition to A, E, I, O, what is the other vowel letter?
U.
The visiting professor is going to give a lecture on geology.
If someone lives in an urban area, where do they live? If someone lives in an urban area, where do they live? City.
The visiting professor is going to give a lecture on geology.
What is the name of the building where you can borrow books? What is the name of the building where you can borrow books?
There are lots of students
Library.
competing for the places in computer courses.
What are the people that plant food and raise crop commonly known as? What are the people that plant food
There are
and
lots
raise
of
crop
students
commonly
competing
known
for the
as?
places in computer
Farmers.
courses.
What do we call a period of 100 years?
There will be a guest lecturer
What
visiting
do
the
we call a
psychology
period of
department next
100
month.
years? Century. What is the joint connecting your foot to the leg?
There
What
will
is the
be a
joint
guest
connecting your
lecturer
foot
visiting
to
the
the leg?
psychology department
Ankle.
next month.
What is the important document
We
that
are
can prove
delighted
you
to
are
have
eligible
Professor
to drive
Robert
a
to
car?
join our faculty.
What is the important document that can prove you are eligible to drive a car? Driver's license.
We are delighted to have
What
Professor
is the
Robert
quickest
to
way
join
to
our
get to the
faculty.
21st floor? What is the quickest way to get to the 21st floor? Elevator.
A demonstrated ability to write clear, correct and concise English is bigotry.
How many sides does an octagon have? How many sides does an octagon have? 8.
A demonstrated ability to write clear,
What do people
correct and
cast in an
concise English
election?
is bigotry.
What do people cast in an election? Vote. Ballot.
We're constantly looking for ways to bring industry and
What do you call
agriculture
someone
closer
who does
together.
a job with no salary or offers to do something without being forced? What do you call someone who does a job with no salary or offers to do something without being forced? Volunteer.
We're constantly looking for ways to bring industry and agriculture closer together.
How many eggs are there in a dozen? How many eggs are
I
there
can't
in a
attend
dozen?
the lecture because I
12.
have a doctor's appointment.
What is the line where the sky meets the land? What is the line where the sky
I can't
meets
attend
the
the
land?
lecture because I have a
Skyline.
doctor's appointment.
How many wheels does a
I'm glad
tricycle
you
have?
got here safely.
How many wheels does a tricycle have? 3. What substance would farmers
I'm
spread
glad
into
you
the
got
soil
here
in order
safely.
to make plants grow more successfully? What substance would farmers spread into the soil in order to make
Newspapers
plants
across the
grow
country
more
have been
successfully?
reporting stories of the
Fertilizer.
president.
What is the horizontal line that separates the
Newspapers
globe
across
into
the
two
country
same
have been
halves?
reporting stories of the president.
What is the horizontal line that separates the globe into two same halves? Equator.
A periodical is a publication that is issued regularly.
What do you throw underwater to keep ships staying on rivers or oceans without drifting away? What do you throw underwater to keep ships
A
staying on
periodical
rivers
is
or
a
oceans
publication
without
that is
drifting
issued
away?
regularly.
Anchor. What
A
category
preliminary
do bees,
bibliography is due the
butterflies,
week before the spring
mosquitoes,
break.
and beetles belong to? What category do bees, butterflies, mosquitoes, and beetles belong to? Insects.
A preliminary bibliography is due the week before the spring break.
If the first day of the week is Monday, then what is the fourth day called?
A study
If the
skills
first day of the
seminar is
week
on
is
for
Monday,
the students who
then
require
what is the fourth
assistance.
day called? Thursday. What is the barrier that can prevent floods from damaging our home?
A study skills seminar
What
is
is the
on for the
barrier that
students
can
who
prevent
require
floods
assistance.
from damaging our home? Dam.
A thorough bibliography is needed at the end of every assignment.
What word do you use to describe uncooked meat? What word do you use to describe uncooked meat? Raw.
A thorough bibliography is needed at the end of every assignment.
Who is the person who writes a piece of music, especially classic music? Who is the person who writes
All
a piece
essays
of
and
music,
seminar
especially
papers
classic
submitted must
music?
be emailed to your
Composer.
tutor.
Who is the person who shares the same room with you? Who is the person who shares
All
the
essays
same
and
room
seminar
with you?
papers submitted must be emailed to your tutor.
Which one is the biggest
Internet
one?
provides
The
unusual
elephant,
opportunities
the tiger,
for
or the
students and
cheetah?
current events.
Which one is the biggest one? The elephant, the tiger, or the cheetah? Elephant. What is the summary
The Internet
for an
provides
academic paper
unusual
showing what the
opportunities for
essay is
students
talking
and
about?
current events.
What is the summary for an academic paper showing what the essay is talking about? Abstract.
The course comprises 20 hours of lectures, seminars, and tutorials per week.
What do people usually use to cut food? What do people usually use to cut food? Knife.
The course comprises 20 hours of lectures, seminars, and tutorials per week.
What is a person called whose job is to write news for newspapers? What is a person called whose job
The
is to
clear
write
evidence
news
between
for
brain
newspapers?
events and behavioral
Journalist.
events is always fascinating.
Where do marine animals live? Where do marine animals live? Sea, ocean.
The clear evidence between brain events and behavioral events is always fascinating.
What do you call a piece of equipment we use to look at stars?
Your
What do
tutor
you
is
call
there
a
to
piece
help
of
you,
equipment we
so
use
to
to
ask
look
if
at
you
stars?
don't understand something.
Telescope. What is 1/2 of 100%? What is 1/2
Your
of
tutor
100%?
is there to help you, so do ask if you
50%.
don't understand something.
What is the opposite direction to where the
Contemporary
sun
critics
rises?
dismissed his idea as eccentric.
What is the opposite direction to where the sun rises? West. What do we call the animals which eat meat?
Contemporary critics dismissed his
What do we
idea
call
as
the
eccentric.
animals which eat meat? Carnivore/predator.
Please be careful when
What
using
do we call
online
a scientist
translation
who studies
programs.
planets and stars? What do we call a scientist who studies planets and stars? Astronomer.
Please be careful when using
What do we
online
call the
translation
device with
programs.
2 or more blades turning quickly to cause a ship or an airplane to move? What do we call the device with 2 or
Tuesday
more blades
sessions will
turning
last
quickly
for
to cause a
approximately
ship
2
or an
hours.
airplane to move? Propeller. Where are you going if you are in a downward direction
Tuesday
in a map?
sessions will last for approximately 2
Where
hours.
are you going if you are in a downward direction in a map? South.
A man who suffered serious brain damage
What
during
do
an
we call a
operation
person
is
who
suing the
leaves
hospital.
college before finishing the studies? What do we call a person who leaves college before finishing the studies? Dropout.
A man who suffered serious brain damage during an operation is suing the hospital.
What do we call a group of sheep or birds? Flock.
Professor Gordon just called me a few minutes ago.
What do we call a political institution or body that is responsible for a country? What do we call a political institution or body that is responsible for a country? Government.
Professor Gordon just called me a few minutes ago.
What do we call the opposite of destiny? What do we call the opposite of destiny?
Being a
Free will.
vegan means not consuming any animal product.
What do we call a ship that carries goods from one place to another? What do we call a ship that carries goods from
Being
one
a
place
vegan
to
means
another?
not consuming
Freighter,
any animal
cargo
product.
ship.